This is the Dynatrac ProGrip upgrade kit for 2007 to 18 Wrangler JKs. I do not believe this works on the JL. So what you get for your money is much larger rotors. As you can see, the stock rotor's on the left. Dynatrac is on the right, quite a bit bigger, and has a nice anti-rust finish. The caliper brackets are much beefier. Again, as you can see, stock on the left, Dynatrac on the right, and they have a nice zinc plating on them to resist rust. The pads that come with it are EBC, which is a nice high quality pad. An important thing to note, you will need at least a 17-inch rim to make sure this clears. With the larger rotor, the caliper has to be pushed out a little farther, and it will rub on a wheel that's smaller than 17 inches. Some people have reported that this kit comes with a felt pad with notes to cut it out to fit. It's in addition to the metal shims that come on the pads. According to Dynatrac, those come with the EBC brake pads and are not necessary with the kit. So if you want to take the time to cut them out, put them on the back, that's fine, but it doesn't appear to be necessary. I'm not planning to do that unless I get squealing after I've installed the pads. This kit does not come with replacement hardware. You're going to reuse all 4 bolts that hold the caliper and the bracket onto the axle, and also you're going to reuse the slides and the rubber boots. I'm going to stop by AutoZone tomorrow and see if I can get replacement rubber boots, since mine have some wear on them and I don't want them to leak. It's also a good idea to get some brake grease. You'll want to put this on the back of the pads, and as well as lubricate the slides really well. The kit does come with replacement metal slides for the pads, so you won't need to worry about those. First step is remove the tire. Make sure you have wheel chocks on your rear wheel when you're doing the front one. Properly have a jack stand. Roll the tire away. Okay, you need a 16mm wrench to hold the slide from moving, and a 13mm on the ratchet. There's one on the top and one on the bottom. This is what we'll need to remove these to remove the caliper. After that, we will remove the caliper bracket. Need to retain the factory bolts. We're going to reuse them. Set them aside safely. Need a 21mm to remove caliper bracket. Just going to loosen these for now and not fully remove it. Okay, once those are loose, you can pry the caliper away. It might be a little bit of a tight fit. See, it's a little dirty. Never let it hang by the hose, so just carefully prop it up here on top of the C. That out of the way, slide the pads loose a little bit, and then go ahead and remove the 2 retaining bolts for the caliper bracket. Again, you want to retain this hardware as well. You will be reusing it. So just slide right out. Need it again. And then it's time to remove the rotor. It's probably stuck a little bit. I usually take a little bit of PB Blaster, squirt it. Just take some PB Blaster, squirt it in here, let it soak in a little bit behind. Often you'll find that the rotor is bonded to the hub a little bit. So spray some in there, let it soak. Got this plastic and rubber mallet. Just work your way around. It's been soaking for about a minute. I've just been going around hitting it, and you can see that it's broken loose now. So just slide it off, set it aside. Now it's time to start putting everything back together. First up, slide the rotor on. Next, we have the caliper bracket. So here's the bracket. We have these little metal tabs. Each of the tabs needs to be put in where the pads are going to slide. And you can see there's a taller side and a shorter side. You want the taller side to be up against the caliper with the little tab that sticks out further pointed away from it where the pads will be, where the rotor will be. So you just got to be careful, make sure you put them in the right orientation. And once you have that in, let's get a little bit of brake grease lubricant here. We're going to lubricate the slides. You just get a glob of it on your finger. You don't want too much. You just want to put a little bit down in here. Keep it a little quieter. Keep them from dragging. Just smooth it in there. So one thing we need to do is pull the caliper slides off of the old caliper, the rubber boot with the slide on it. There's 2 per caliper. Remove those. Pop the old boot off, and then get a paper towel, clean it up real good. It's worth noting the Dynatrac kit does not come with replacement boots. I went to AutoZone and bought them $5, which each pack gets you, we'll do the front and then another one will do the rear. So about 2 packs, $5 each. Clean it up nice, both of them. I figure replacing the boots is cheap insurance at this point, since they do have a tendency to wear and crack. There's the boot. So we're going to take some of the lube here, pack it in around flange, and then also on the slide itself. Just kind of smooth it in there. Take the boot, slide it on, and just press it in, give it a little twist to get it to pop over. And then make sure you clean off any of the excess. Next, I glob just a little bit into the hole where the slide is going to go. Not much, but just a little extra so you're pushing some grease ahead of you instead of just, it makes it go in a little easier. Alright, so just kind of rotate as you go. Go ahead and push it until the boot pops on. There you go. And it should move freely and have a little bit of suction. At this point, you can go ahead and put the bracket back on. So we're going to use the large bolts here. Just want to finger tighten at this point. Next, we'll go ahead and put the pads on. So one of the pads has a little metal tab up here on top that sticks out. That'll be on the inside. Just put it in the little metal track. Slide right in. Let's see. There we go. I always put a little dab of grease on the outside of the pad. Not a lot, just a little bit. Rub it in there. You don't want enough it's going to get on anything, but it'll help keep it quieter and keep it cleaner. You definitely do not want it on the rotor. If you do get it on the rotor, clean it off and make sure you use some brake cleaner. Next step, we need to compress our caliper. You can use a C-clamp. I have this handy tool from Harbor Freight. This is the easiest way to do it. It's important to open the cap on your brake reservoir, fluid reservoir, while you're doing this, and keep an eye on it to make sure you don't overflow it. Now we need our red Loctite. We're going to put some on the caliper bolts. Not a ton. It's just a simple matter of sliding this over top of the pads. And then you may have to press in on the slides a little bit to get it to fit over. Go ahead and finger tighten the bolts. Now you can go ahead and tighten everything up, torque it down. So torque specs are 120 for the larger bolts that mount the bracket to the axle, and then 26 foot-pounds for the smaller caliper brackets bolts. The easiest way to do this is to set it on your feet. Makes it a lot easier. Kind of guide it on. I just want to make sure it spins freely. It's doing great.